The film begins with cutting flashbacks about the fighting in the Middle East. Levon Cade wakes up in the car that replaces his house, brushes his teeth, and goes to work. He works as a foreman in the firm of Garcia and family. He has a good relationship with the owner of the company, Joe, and his daughter, Jenny. Having noticed strangers at the facility, with the professionalism of a seasoned therapist, having diagnosed them with inflammation of the greyhound, Levon goes to sort it out. Outsiders press his subordinate, and on a polite request, to dump the uncultured hamster. Using improvised materials and rich experience, Levon explains to the guests, in an accessible language of physical violence, that the shadows are right. When help arrives with firearms, the builder pulls out a stored shotgun. Realizing that the settings can be rolled into concrete, and say that it was so, the racketeers bring down. After work, Livonia goes to the father-in-law to pick up my daughter Mary. Her grandfather is listed as her guardian, but her father is allowed to visit sometimes. The old man dislikes his son-in-law, reminding him that he is good at various professions, and quoting quotes, but as a father, he is like that. Barely restraining himself from hitting a relative, Levon rolls with his daughter to a cafe. Later, he visits lawyers to discuss custody prospects. Rich father-in-law accuses son-in-law of having in addition. Levon has no housing. In order not to lose his daughter, the foreman removes a shabby hut somewhere on the northern buttock of the southern Chertonov. Cockroaches are already included in the price. In the evening, Jenny and her classmates go on a night out in nightclubs. They note the successful delivery of session. The girls do not notice that a stranger is watching them closely, and the bartender is in business. After Jenny got sick from an exquisite blend of draft booze, two unknown people kidnap her from the toilet on the way. On Monday morning, Levon finds out that Jenny is missing. The boss asks him to use his skills to save her by offering money. But the man refuses. After work, a man goes out of town to a former colleague, and now a blind archer gunny. He feels in his heart, very strange things are happening. Levon consults with him, but his colleague is sure that he has already decided everything. He just wants to discuss it. Then the Marine returns to the Garcia family to tell the boss that he will find his daughter, no matter what it costs the bandits. The first thing Levon does is go to the pub where Jenny was last seen. He notices that Johnny's bartender is secretly dealing drugs, and the surveillance cameras are not connected. When the bar closes, the foreman follows him home to get inside and interrogate him. The bartender refuses to say what happened to Jenny, forcing the caller to proceed to more effective methods. He tortures Johnny in the bathroom, pouring water, but he continues to persist. A heartfelt conversation is interrupted by the appearance of two armed friends of Johnny. Levon remembers the folk wisdom before he drenches everyone. He examines the bodies, taking a lot of cash from them. The criminals were carrying a serious share due to someone. In the morning, Levon watches the apartment and sees Denmark. Ivanka, two brothers in Koklama-painted costumes. Vola Kolisnik, a member of the Russian mafia, came with them. After examining the scene, they realize that there is no money. Ox invokes a special cleaning agency, working on the principle in the house of the blood from the vacuum, and the bodies who's even ask. Levon watches Volad's wheelbarrow at home. Then, taking his equipment, he sneaks to the side of the mansion to establish surveillance. Russian swears with his wife. When the future widow left on business, the foreman sneaks into the house to drink coffee with the owner, but gets confused, and pours a hot drink right on his face. After knocking out Volod, the Marine ties him up and carefully attaches him to the edge of the pool. Vola threatens a stranger with a suspiciously familiar face. They say he is part of the syndicate, and the syndicate takes revenge on the offender to the third knee. But Levon is lucky that he has only two of them. The foreman is interested in Jenny, but the ox is silent, realizing that nothing can be learned from him. The guest dips the owner into the pool. Then, from the deceased's phone, Levon learns the name of Dimmy, the new target in the investigation. Later, the brothers' superior mafia father arrives at the ox's house. After reviewing the surveillance camera footage, he tells the sons of Donnie and Vanka to find the impudent man who dared to raise his hand against a member of the syndicate. The hand on the penis sounds somehow unboyish. To get to Dima, Levon calls an old friend from the police. He suggests the name of the biker bar at Hattie's, where he sells drugs to the syndicate. The foreman goes there, attracting the attention of the institution's security service. He carefully shows off a stack of bills, hinting that he wants to stock up on goods and exciting the vulgar greed of the huckster with the gentle rustle of bills. Of Livonia leads to a closed bar where meets the owner of the cottages. The boss is distrustful of the new client, inciting bodyguards against him. For against one, of course, is unfair, but it's not Levon's fault that there are so few of them. He's neat. He beats up thugs because there is no music sweeter to the ears than the crunch and crack of broken bones. Deciding that it's time to stop the genocide of the Sixes, Doc slows down the fight. Recognizing the Marines' guests, he admits that he himself served in the landing. Levin voices a proposal. He will buy a sample of drugs to establish monthly deliveries. The interlocutor calls the price, telling him to appear in the morning at a cafe nearby. Going into the diner, the Marine sees the people of the dacha. In exchange for money, he gets a cell phone. It will be called to inform the coordinates of where to pick up the goods. In the car, Levin receives a call from the dacha. He says that the drugs are under his seat. But the foreman doesn't need drugs. This is only one step on the way to the true goal, so he throws them off the bridge into the river. Doc informs Levin that in order to organize monthly deliveries, you need to personally get acquainted with the boss. The biker advises to wear a suit to meet respectable people. Dressed up, the foreman comes to the specified address in the restaurant, where he is expected. In addition to the cottage, a Dimi Kolisnik, a relative of the deceased ox, is sitting at the table. After checking the fake Marine driver's license and receiving money from him, the syndicate dealer hands over a suitcase with goods. Later, Levin safely flushes the drugs down the toilet. Later, he looks through the posts of the kidnapped girl in social networks. There is a suspicious man in the background. After looking at the phone from Johnny's apartment, Levin sees a selfie of the barman with this guy. According to geolocation, this is Hattie's biker salon. A Marine goes there to establish surveillance. He is spotted by security cameras and calls the syndicate militants, led by Vanka Danya. Noticing that he has lost his disguise, Levin does not lose his composure, transfers to the nearest motorcycle, and runs away. The brothers give chase, trying to shoot the fugitive. A race on a country road ends with a motorcycle crashing into a police car. Levin is taken at gunpoint, but it turns out that the cops were bought by a syndicate. They pass the biker's grief to the brothers. The foreman wakes up in the back of a van with his hands tied together with Vanka and Danya. A beautiful face, and it's more pleasant to beat, and if there are two of them, then doubly so. Realizing during the scuffle that they are not being taken out on fists, the brothers grab the guns, which aggravates the situation. Selecting the barrel, the prisoner with a well-aimed shot trepanizes the skull of the driver. Having lost control, the van rolls off the road, hovering over the river. After a couple of blows with a hammer, Levin finishes off the brothers with a pistol and, getting out, pushes the car into the river. This is the harsh fact of life. However, the bodies were fished out and brought to the morgue so that the father could say goodbye. The bandit organizes a meeting of the heads of the syndicate, at which he outlines an unpleasant situation. Some loner declared war on them, killing loyal people. To solve this issue, criminals contract to killers. Karp and Nestor. Despite the fact that they are standing, it is clear from their faces that they are more accustomed to sitting. Viper and Artemis in a nightclub report to Dima about the overlap with the new prisoner Jenny, who bit the customer, which turned into losses. He threatens to cut off his finger in case of repeated blunders, after which he orders to get rid of the obstinate product. After that, his father comes to him with Karp and Nestor. They arrange a shooting and bruising session, just to ask if he knows who killed his relative ox. According to the frame from the surveillance camera, Dimi recognizes a recent buyer and shows a photo of a fake license. This is enough for the syndicate hackers to break through the photo. The real identity of Levin. After learning about the next of kin, Karp and Nestor visit the father-in-law of the former Marine. Levin calls the daughter of the school. Grandpa didn't take her. Realizing that this is not for nothing, the foreman hurries to his house, where a fire is raging. A man pulls a bound father-in-law out of a burning building. He blames him for what happened, which is not far from the truth. To protect his daughter, he takes her to a trusted comrade Gannon overexposure. Also, a colleague allows the foreman to profit from guns in his rich arsenal, which even includes a golden Kalashnikov assault rifle. The legendary skin was unlocked on the map of Saddam's palace. The kidnappers take Jenny into the woods to finish her off. On the road, the girl makes a fuss in the back seat, which leads to an accident. Taking advantage of the moment, Jenny escapes and, cutting the fetter on her hands, and a post with barbed wire turns up. Gets to the road. There she breaks a police car. Having picked up the fugitive, the cops take her to the mansion, where the syndicate has a casino and is handed over to the kidnappers. They are still corrupt servants of the law. At this moment, a customer calls them and asks them to deliver Jenny back. He changed his mind about refusing. Levin sneaks into Dimi's closed club, methodically cutting out the guards. However, it was not possible to pass the mission by stealth. Had Shmalyat Danny Devitt in Mem. Dimi takes an assistant hostage, but the foreman's well-aimed shot holes his palm. The Marine asks Dimi where Jenny is. The criminal is haggling life in exchange for the prisoner's location. Levin takes him with him to show him where the syndicate casino is. Having reached him, the Marine takes the prisoner outside and, pushing a puddle of swamp slime, kills, so to speak. And soaked. Dacha informs that the buyer, whom he brought to Dima, is going to storm the casino. To fix the jam, Doc raises a biker gang and moves to the address. Near the mansion, Levon is already reducing the number of guards from a pistol with a silencer, not disdaining to cut with a knife to save ammunition. Having made his way inside, he realizes that it is too quiet here and connects a grenade. After the explosion, panic begins among the visitors. Levon methodically mows down the guards with a rifle. Demonstrates the wonders of accuracy, but the steel cavalry of the Dacha gang has already arrived at the scene of action. At this moment, the Dachas break into the hall. Two former soldiers arrange a quick stabbing, during which the biker loses by 1 wicket and goes to the Prutes. Levon, hearing the cries of the captive Jenny, goes to the voice. Of course, he is not a pharmacist, but he can prescribe healing people with his bare hands, which he demonstrates. Interrupting the worthless life of the kidnappers, Levon is freed with a sledgehammer. After that, the foreman with the rescued daughter of the boss gets on the bike and drives away, not suspecting that his father is watching him. The bandit calls a colleague, but he tells him not to aggravate the situation. The foreman found what he was looking for. Why anger him? Continue and suffer losses. Early in the morning, Levon brings a tired Jenny home, where she is greeted by a joyful family. Then a former Marine and a practicing foreman goes to an old friend of Ganny's, where his daughter is waiting. They all gather at the table to decide which profession Levon will master next time.